So good evening, everyone. It is 5 p.m. It is August 24th, 2020. I am Jennifer Patterson, President of the Concord School Board, and I am calling to order a special board meeting for scheduling. So let me start out with the emergency meeting statement. As President of the Concord School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. The business we intend to conduct today is necessary due to the need to plan the schedule of meetings for the coming months. This meeting takes the place of our regular Executive Committee meeting. Please note that there's no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with the emergency order, we are providing access by telephone with additional access by other electronic means. Specifically, we are utilizing Microsoft Teams for this electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting by dialing the phone number 925-391-1169 with a conference ID of 462-174-053#. They can also click on the link provided on the SAU8.org website or watch the meeting on CCTV's YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/ConcordNHTV. And a recording of the meeting will also be posted on the CCTV's website. The board does not intend to take public comment during this meeting. We do encourage the submission of citizen comments via email at concordinfo@sau8.org. We did give notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Microsoft Teams or telephonically. The meeting and pertinent instructions were posted on the website of the board at sau8.org more than 24 hours prior to the meeting and are highlighted on the top of the website. If members of the public have problems accessing the meeting, please call 603-513-9008. And in the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. So I will start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. Please note that all members will be participating remotely, and any votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the Right to Know law. Please mute your microphone when not speaking and wait to be recognized. So, Ms. Cannon, are you present?
I am present, and I am alone.
Great, thank you, Ms. Cannon. Mr. Croto, are you present?
I am present, and I am alone.
Great, thank you, Mr. Croto. Mr. Crush, are you present? Don't hear Mr. Crush. Ms. Higgins, are you present? I do not hear Ms. Higgins. Mr. Parker, are you present? I do not hear Mr. Parker. Ms. Poinier, are you present?
I'm here and I'm alone.
Great, thank you, Ms. Poinier. Mr. Richards, are you present?
I am here and I am alone.
Great, thank you, Mr. Richards. Ms. Smith, are you present? I do not hear Ms. Smith. I am Jennifer Patterson. I am present, so we do have 5 board members present, which is a quorum. So we will go ahead with this scheduling meeting. So next, I will ask Interim Superintendent Kathleen Murphy just to identify what district staff are present.
Thank you, Jenny. With us tonight is Assistant Superintendent Donna Pally, Business Manager Jack Dunn, our HR Director Larry Prince, and our Facilities Director Matt Cashman. I think that covers everyone.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kathleen. So this is a very straightforward meeting. Typically, it is a not very well attended meeting. So it's fine that we don't have all of our board members here. So basically, what we'll do is we'll have the central office staff walk through the proposed agenda for our September monthly meeting. And then we will look at our proposed schedule of meetings for September and October 2020. Just a couple of notes before I turn it over to the central office staff. First, we did get an email just before this meeting that reminded us of some of the standing agenda items that we always want to include on our agendas. And I believe that some of them are on, some of them may not be, but certainly it's our intention to include these items. The first is an update on kind of COVID learning and where we stand in terms of our learning given the COVID emergency. The second is where we stand in terms of implementing the recommendations from the Perkins report, and specifically, the recommendations document that she created. And then the third is updates on the anti-racism work that the district is doing. So these are all things that we have decided we would like updates on at every meeting. So I want to make sure they're included in the agenda. And then that email also asked for an update on the work that the communications consultant is doing. So again, that may not be a standard item, but it would be a good item to include on our proposed agenda if it's not there already. And then my last kind of reminder is we are looking at returning to in-person meetings. It's a little bit complicated. I know the district staff have been working on how we can do that so that we can have remote participation and in-person participation for both board members and members of the public. So when we talk about our proposed schedule of meetings, I think we will be discussing that. So with those notes, I see Ms. Cannon has her hand up. So yes, go ahead, Ms. Cannon.
I think Barb just joined us.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Barb. Glad that you were here. And
I was here at 5:05.
Oh, okay, excellent. So we are just about to get to the meat of our brief agenda and turn it over to Kathleen Murphy to talk about our proposed agenda for September 8th. So go ahead.
Yes, so let me take the time to walk through. As you can see, the September 8th meeting, we are working on allowing it to be both remote for the board, but in person also. Consideration for this meeting would be that we would hold it at the high school in the auditorium. That would give us enough space for the distancing that was required. It would also allow people to be present because it's large enough and we can spread out enough as board and obviously from central office staff, and also have the access to TV so that people can see the broadcast. And we would still continue to use Concord info to receive any emails or any concerns that people may have relative to the agenda. So we're working on it, making sure that all those pieces are in place. But with your agreement, we'd like to move forward with that. The next item would be, obviously the board minutes. I know that Lyndon has been working on these minutes. Some of them were rather lengthy, and so we want to make sure the accuracy is there. So she's working on those, should have those completed for you when we deliver the package to you on Friday. In my report that I do, we have addressed several of the items you mentioned earlier. I'd like to be able to report on updates in terms of return to school with our target date of September 8th, and all the pieces that we've been working on and involved. I will have some additional materials. We have completed our handbook on return to school, which we are distributing to our families and our staff as we speak, as a matter of fact. So I'll have that for you, as well as a report on the work that we're doing around anti-racism. As you know, we've had our third meeting, and I'd like to report out on the recommendations and the additional information that was discussed at that meeting. So that's been very positive. And And we also had a request to give an update on our HVAC systems at all of our schools. Given the return to school, that was an issue about air quality, the exchange of air, fresh air, and how our systems. So Matt Cashman, our Director for Facilities, will do that report. Traditional items always on your agenda, public comment. I know that Larry has some things on personnel. Larry, do you want to speak to any of those?
Sure. We have one professional leave of absence that we'll bring to you. We have CEA confirmations from last month. We have one new, what would end up being a nomination, and then our coaching confirmations from last month. So pretty quick, should be not too bad.
We should be in good shape for all of our personnel as we begin to go back to school. So that's a good thing. Negotiations will be a report. As you know, we have a number of unions that we will be negotiating with, and so the committee wants to meet. That meeting has been scheduled for September 1. And so the committee will be deliberating on the process and so forth. So City and Community Relations, Liza as the chair is looking to, we're actually meeting tonight after this meeting for our first meeting. So I'm sure that Liza will have a report for everyone relative to that meeting. I'm going to stop. I see Tom's hand up. Jenny, you want to? I don't want to go too far.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Tom, go ahead.
Thank you. Mostly Kathleen Cord, Larry Prince. Will we be able to get some hard and fast numbers of how many people are opting out as of our deadline the other day with regard to staying at home? And then Kathleen, a follow-up to that, any information about supervision or how we're going to manage all of that and what it means to our actual opening.
Do you want that in preparation for your September 8th meeting? Is that what you're indicating, or do you?
Yeah, I think it's important for parents to know, how are we doing staff-wise? I know that you just mentioned that, that we're going to be okay. I just think parents ought to know. I'd like board members to know, how are we doing staff-wise with regard to people opting out or not opting out? I know Larry gave some numbers the other night, but we had a closing date after those numbers were given. So I'd like to have an update on just how many folks do we have? What kind of shape are we in? Are we going to have enough people to deliver services? Just like a report on that, please.
Okay. And then I also will have a report on, as you said, the supervision in terms of working with the administrators in terms of supervising the accountability piece, which is really important, working with the principals now in terms of a process for all of that to be done. So we'll report out on that.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tom. And would it be possible to add to the agenda the Perkins recommendations and the communications consultant that were the subject of the email? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I did. I wrote those down.
Excellent. Thank
we'll
you.
add that to the agenda. Instruction committee meeting will be meeting on the 31st. That should be, I hope that Tom, at that instruction committee meeting, I will have the data that you just talked about. I will be bringing that forward to that committee, and then we'll be able to report out to the full board on September 8th. That was my thinking about how we might transpire and get that information out.
That works fine for me, Kathleen. That's fine. As long as we have the information for the 8th, that's great.
Right. And instruction committee, as I said, on the 31st, also under other business is your securing permanent superintendent and the search and the work that you have to undertake to do that. And we'll have calendars of meetings which we can go over with you.
Great. Thank you, Kathleen. Is any other board member thoughts or comments on the proposed agenda? Jim, go ahead.
Jenny, I think we'll probably discuss, should be on the agenda, action relative to vacancies on the board and officers associated with that.
Oh, that is a good point.
We need to put that on the agenda.
Should that be at the beginning of the meeting?
I don't know if it's important as to which end of the meeting, which part of the meeting we are on. But yeah, it should be somewhere in there. I think fairly early, we should want to address that. I would want to address that.
Yeah, I mean,
Feel like in the past when we've had board members step off or we've had to replace or make changes, we typically did that in the beginning, sort of like before anything else started. So might just get it out of the way and done. And then Jim and Jenny can have their little powwow together.
yeah, I think having that be early in the agenda, right after the approval of the agenda, probably makes sense.
I'm fine with that. Thank you for
Yep.
Acknowledging that.
Yep. No, thank you. Sorry, I forgot about it. Any other board member comments on the agenda? I do not see any, so I think we can go to the proposed schedule of meetings for September and October.
Is that something you want me to lead, or Jenny, do you?
Sure, Kathleen, if you could do it, and again, I know it's not in September, but we do have.
I didn't know if that was something you did. So you can see, again, we have a busy month, but always when we return to school, it's a busy time. So we have scheduled negotiations on the 1st, and on the 2nd at 6 o'clock is the candidates info session, something that's gives people interested perhaps in running for the seats. As you know, there's 3 seats plus three 3-year terms and one 1-year term for the November ballot. So there may be some folks that would like to chat with you and talk with you about the role that the school board has in the district. So that's set up for Wednesday the 2nd, 6 o'clock p.m. And we will be doing that up at the auditorium at the high school.
Great, thank you. And, oh, Jim, did you have your hand up? I saw both Jim and Tom had their hand up and then took it down again.
Jenny, I just had it up and I should have just been more patient because Kathleen answered my question. I was going to ask where that was. So thank you very much.
Yes, and that it will be in person. So that's the intention. And again, it's not indicated on this, but the filing period for running for a school board seat is September 2nd through the 11th.
You know, we'll put that on the calendar. That's a great reminder.
Great.
I'll put it on so everyone knows it. Then your regularly scheduled meeting on September 8th, 7 o'clock. Again, we're looking to have that at the high school in person for the folks, and with all the rules, masks, social distancing, and those that feel that that's not the way they want to attend, then we will have it set up so that people can remote in.
I'm going to interrupt only because it's important, and I'm sorry. I'll apologize first and then ask is there any way to get that document larger on the screen? And I hope I'm not the only one in this community and city who is seeing this as being very difficult to see.
Tom, you are not the only one. I thank you for asking that question. I should have asked it before. Thank you for being
the sacrificial lamb.
So I appreciate it.
Thanks. So much better. Thanks.
How's that?
How's that? Kathleen.
All right. Thank you. Thanks. So I think we can move down a little bit on the schedule for September, and obviously on the 14th or Monday, Capital Facilities, all the updates on the summer projects and work that may come your way as potential upgrades for our facilities. So there'll be discussion on that. And then communication and policy work will continue on the 16th. Certainly that's been an important aspect of your work around developing policy. We have a number of policies we'll bring to discuss to that meeting. On the 21st, again, your regular meeting to do schedules and set the agenda. And then at the end of the month, an instructional committee. Now, when we meet on the 31st, August 31st on the instructional committee, we may decide to meet again before the 23rd. So I wanted to discuss that with the chair, Barb Higgins, so that we would, we may need to do it sooner than later.
Yeah, I actually was just thinking the same thing when I was writing all this down right now. There's enough flexibility in September that if we need to schedule another one, I'm fine with it. I think at this point, just community-wise, it'll go a long way with easing people's minds and keeping people apprised and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
So I'll work hard to make it work.
Okay, that's great. We might look at September. I'm looking at the calendar. I'm looking at maybe September 10th. So
Yep.
keep that in mind, Barb, as a possibility.
Sounds good.
Or on the 9th, we could do it the 9th too, of that first week back.
Yeah, why don't we just go ahead and pencil it in?
For the 9th?
Yeah.
Which is the Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, I feel good about that. It's
All
every
right.
every 10 days or so we're
Yep.
getting together, and there'll be plenty to talk about, I'm quite sure.
I agree. I agree.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Kathleen.
Tom, you still have your hand up, and I don't know whether that was intentional. And then Gina newly raised her hand, which probably was intentional. So, okay, Tom's it down. So, Gina, go ahead.
My apologies. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the 9th works much better for me, and I think if we need to, that gives us time to meet yet again if we need an extra meeting, an extra meeting.
Right. We do have one scheduled for the 23rd also. Scroll down. There you go.
Yeah, if we needed an extra because things were quick and needed pivoting,
Right.
that
Right.
leaves us the 15th if we have to, or the 17th if we have to.
We have plenty of options. Things are changing as quickly as we think everything's settled. Just today, the CDC indicated that they waived the 14-day requirement of a quarantine if you fly out of state. So all of a sudden now that's changed. Now that doesn't affect us in New Hampshire because the governor set that quarantine up. But CDC is recommending to waive that 14-day quarantine for flights outside of the state and the country. So things change every minute, it seems. So we can go to October. Could we do that? We're just going to try to put up the October calendar if we could. There we go. So your regularly scheduled first Monday of the month, your school board meeting, and on Wednesday, a finance committee. Hey, Jack, you're on the call. You want to speak to this?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just unmuting myself.
Yeah. Okay.
So this will give you an update on where everything came in budget-wise. The city will be setting the tax rate at either the middle or the end of the month. We are not going to propose that you do anything. Right now, we have $3,000 more than we need for this current fiscal year. But we'll go over what we did with all that money, where it got moved, what the instructional trusts, all the different trusts look like, and just basically at this point hold status quo. I don't see any need to go after the tax rate in a way that will put any undue burden on the community. I think if the values come up and the rate goes down, you let it go down. That's just, I can't control the market, although it seems to be doing pretty well. I think depending on how this COVID situation is, will be a reflection on what's happening. And we probably won't have the growth numbers by then, but at least you'll know where things stand. And I can tell you if it comes in at this is where it could go for that. So that's really the purpose of that meeting. We have one of these every year right before the setting of the tax rate. but this year we probably won't look for you to take any action. Obviously, you can if you want, but I think we're just looking to hold steady. That's it.
Great, thank you, Jack. And so can you just scroll down, Jack, so I can get the rest of, obviously there's a holiday in October for Columbus Day, and then your executive committee, which is your scheduling committee that you meet to set the agenda and do the monthly schedules. So at this point, that's all we have. I think we'll, one more scroll down, Jack, please. Yeah, we haven't put anything else in yet, so I'm open for suggestions here.
Thank you, Kathleen. And Gina has her hand up. Go ahead, Gina.
In light of all the diversity training that we're doing, I just want to raise the issue of whether we should look at labeling October 12th something different.
That is a good point. I was wondering that too. I don't. Does that go by state or does that go by district? Can we choose to undesignate it? I know some states have designated it as Indigenous Peoples Day rather than Columbus Day, and I don't know if that's something within our power to do, but it's certainly a good question.
I've seen warrant articles in towns and cities that asked for that, and people voted on it. I saw that at the community I live in, the town meeting. So it is dependent on each individual town and city. I think they voted on it and changed it over in Durham, but I don't know anywhere else. You know, we've had that statewide when they were used to be Civil Rights Day, and then they renamed it to Martin Luther King Day. So it's all over the place. I don't think there's any one right way that you have a law to follow. I think there is some local control relative to that.
And maybe that's something that could be discussed at the September meeting, if that's something that's within the board's authority to make that decision. So maybe by then we would know.
Yep.
Yeah, let's look into it.
Yeah.
I'll look into the city side of it.
Okay.
That's me, Barb.
Great. We can also take it up in the City and Community Relations Committee.
Great idea.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, thank you, Liza. Good. Thank you for raising that, Gina. Okay, and I'm sure, I think, as you said, Kathleen, there will be many other meetings, probably at least one instructional committee meeting, most likely some communications and policy meetings. There's a lot of policy work that we have committed to do that we want to continue, and I'm sure after the September 16th meeting, there'll be a clearer plan of how that will play out, because our intention, again, had been to really be inclusive of the community and continuing to do that work. And we're doing kind of a regrouping on the 16th. And I'm sure there will be many, many further meetings. So more to come in terms of October.
Yeah, and I would advise you that once we set up all of our meetings in September, that we put a plan in place for the rest of the year. Because you can say on the third Wednesday of the month, there will be instruction committee. You know what I'm saying, or policy meeting. So that's helpful for everyone's schedule, so they know what's coming. So I'm going to try to direct that when we have our committee meetings.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
All right. So I think we've covered what I had planned to cover during this meeting. Do any board members have other questions or comments on the scheduling for the next couple of months? I am not seeing any. So, as promised, nice quick meeting. Thank you, everyone. And in half an hour, it'll be Liza's committee. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn, Jen.
And Barb will second.
Great, thank you. Moved by Jim, seconded by Barb. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.